All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Help with Natalie Cuomo. I'm super excited for our guest this week. We have the amazing comedian and writer, Francis Ellis. How are you?
Hey, Natalie, I'm happy. Thank you for having me.
I'm happy to have you. How's your day going?
I just said I'm happy. That's it.
Just happy.
Yeah. All is well. I'm good. I'm good. I've got my color-coded bookshelf behind me, giving me peace and organizational thoughts. So all well here.
So that's impressive. Is that always your backdrop?
No, I bounce around the apartment, but the the color-coded bookshelf often is very polarizing for people.
Yeah.
For some reason, it makes some people mad, and then other people, it makes them, it inspires them to do it themselves.
Well, it's interesting because I'm actually one of the few females that is colorblind.
What?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But hold on, that's a gender thing.
Yeah, it's not as common in women to be colorblind.
Wow, what's that about?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh
So
man,
I can tell that it was like a nice vibe, but I wouldn't have even thought to say, oh, that's color coded. I mean, color
can you?
not
Okay, so
coded, but
so
yeah.
tell me about this. So can you really not tell the difference? Is it just sort of shades of darkness? The books?
I mean, I could tell it's like yellow, blue, and then the green books.
Yeah, I don't think there are any green books, but
Okay.
so
I'm trying
you're
here.
What's this? What color is this?
It's a purple book.
Yeah, it's purple. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Hold on. We got to
This
do
is
one more.
really good for the people listening, but yeah, do one more.
We got to try one more here.
Okay.
Um, what
So
about this one?
it's a green book.
Green? No.
Orange.
It's like orange red. So is it green and red that you can't distinguish?
So I have trouble with green reds. Then I have trouble with blue purples, and then light green and yellow.
I see. Is it only when they're next to each other that you have a hard time, or just if they were standing alone, would you not be able to say that's a red book?
It's like I can see that they're different colors. I just don't know what color it is. Like I can see that it looks different than what it's next to, but I don't know what it is. Like I don't know what distinguishes that color.
Okay. Has this ever held you back? Is this something that holds people back or not? Not really.
It's funny because I remember like when I was in school in math class, they had like this graph with like the different color lines, and I couldn't see one of the lines because it was too close to the background color. So
Hmm.
stuff like that, maybe. But otherwise, and maybe my outfits are weird.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
guess you could if someone just told you right off the bat, "Hey Natalie, this is your red dress." You
Uh-huh.
could almost put it under a sticky note or in its own special hanger that said, "Don't forget this is the red dress."
Right. I mean, I feel like with a dress, it's easy because then you don't have to match pants to it.
That's true. Do you feel like I'm now mansplaining your own color blindness to you? Because I fear that's what I've started to do here. Slipped into.
No, I mean, listen, this is the podcast where I ask for advice. I'm already feeling absolutely insane today. So please, this is the space for it. If you are going to, you're not mansplaining, but if you're going to,
Okay.
please
Got it.
do.
Cool. Good. All right. Well, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
What inspired the bookshelf? I'm sure you've talked about it so much.
No, I haven't really. I had it all just as a sort of mumbo, just a
Mumbo jumbo.
yeah, mumbo jumbo quagmire of mixed books and colors and sizes. And I thought there was some charm to that.
Yeah, I like that.
Um, but then a friend of mine who is very tidy had done her bookshelf color coded.
Okay.
Now, she did it as sort of stacks. So it's like, the books are sort of stacked on top of each other, 6 or 7 in a pile. and then there would be picture frames in between. It's really well
Wow.
organized. From a design perspective, I was in awe of that. And then I thought, well, what if I color coded my entire bookshelf? And since I've done it, I can't even imagine going back to the total hodgepodge of colors. I almost just feel like that would put my entire life into disarray.
Now, has anyone ever taken a book out and then put it in the wrong place and you're like, ah?
No, people respect the sanctity of the color coding, which, you know, thank God, because if some monster came to my apartment and took a red book and then put it in the white
And
section,
I would do that because I can't tell the difference.
yes, but we know that about you now, and so we would
Yes.
very
Be careful.
gently,
Be
we would
careful.
pick the book out, we would put it in its proper place, and we would say, you know, it's not her fault. She knows not what she does.
Yes. I remember I had this job at a fabric company, and the first day of the job, they were like, "Okay, so you're gonna need to organize all these pillows by color," and I was like, "Uh,
See, that's where my question of has it ever held you back? I would
right,
have thought there are certain jobs that you might not be suited for. Obviously, stoplight technician probably at the top of the list,
mm.
but yeah, fabric sorter would be up there. As might I don't know, someone like a wedding invitation designer.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah."
really sure. I can't, I'm not good at knowing what jobs require a very strong grasp of color shades, but um, those are some of the ones I can think of right off the top of
It's devastating, really.
my head.
So what's coming up for you in comedy? What's been going on?
You know, here's the thing I'm struggling with, Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
I'm struggling quite heavily with the sort of the return of a lot of my road comedy, as
Mm.
well as and coinciding with a very heavy plate of weddings.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, because I'm you know I'm 32, and all of my friends decided that they were going to get married within weeks of each other, and so I'm every single weekend I'm either at a wedding or I'm on the road for comedy, and both activities are pretty exhausting
Yeah.
weekend activities, I find, and very late. And I haven't had a weekend where I woke up in my bed on a Saturday in I don't even know how many months at this point. It feels like, I don't know. I feel like my time has been taken from me, and I am beholden to the schedules of either a comedy booker or a wedding planner. Because a lot of these weddings I've been a groomsman in, which again
Mm.
baffles me because I don't know what I'm doing wrong that I keep getting selected as a
That's
as a
amazing. That's you're the amazing friend that everyone has.
I guess I feel like I'm a bubble groomsman for a lot of the weddings,
What's a
but
bubble? What's a bubble
you
groomsman?
know, you're on the bubble. You're on the bubble.
What's a bubble?
It's like, okay, let's say that a groom friend of mine
Uh-huh.
is choosing 6 or 7 groomsmen,
Mm.
and then his bride says, "Well, I'm going to have 8 bridesmaids. Let's make it even." He might
Okay.
throw me in to fill that final spot.
Okay. Wow. So you're like, I'm the final spot guy.
I'm a final spot kind of guy, and I accept it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, as a comedian, have you been how old are you, Natalie?
I'm 26.
Wow, okay. So you're probably
How old did you
ahead.
think I was?
I mean, that sounds good. You know, usually what I would do is I would judge or I would guess based on your how far along you are in comedy, and
Right.
you and I work the same clubs, and you know I I'm 32, so based on your accomplishments, out of respect, I
Thank
might have
you.
said you're older, not based on how you look or any of that stuff. But as a 26-year-old, you're ahead of, I think your heavy wedding schedule is going to set in around 28 to 32 or whatever. And, you'll find, I don't really remember where I was going with this, to be honest with you.
You're having a hard time with the weddings. Are you finding that your weekdays you're able to recover?
Kinda, but the weeks are busy too.
What's during the week? You got your podcast?
Got the podcast. Then we have, I do alternate side parking Thursdays every Thursday.
I
Got to
like
move
that.
Pete the sweep.
Oh my God.
And then I film all that, and that's a heavy lift. And then, I mean, the big thing is that I'm just usually only here like Monday to Wednesday.
So much.
Because road comedy you go on Thursdays, and weddings you often go on Thursdays, and it's just really takes a toll on me. I need to recharge, and I sound like I'm being a little bit of a I don't know, an old curmudgeon. But the truth is I just feel very worn down, and I'm starting to resent some of these weddings. And God help me, my girlfriend is 2.5 years younger than me, so as soon as my slate ends,
oh no,
is going to start, and we're going to just have this long, never-ending cycle of weddings. And I can't exactly tell her, I'm not up for going, because she's been such a trooper in coming to all of mine, but she likes them. She likes going. And I don't even like going to the weddings of my friends.
Yeah, but you have to go with her. It's just though it would be the worst if when they don't come, it sucks.
Yeah, that's what she said. But so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, Natalie. I'm trying to just keep my head above water, but I'm excited for a change in temperature, the return of fall.
I love fall.
Boots, pea coats that make us look slender. All those sorts of things. I think that'll definitely lift my spirits a bit.
I'm having a very, very hard time being motivated. Like I'm one of these people that's like, I'm hustling. I'm doing the bar shows I don't need to do. I'm like, oh, there's 2 people there. I'll go. It's 5 hours away. Sure. Lately, I have not had that attitude. And I feel like something's wrong with me, because I feel like I'm having a hard time getting that extra like spark that I had before.
I think one thing that could help is if you decided or set a goal about what you're working your comedy towards, whether it's, recording an album or taping your own special or trying to get a special.
A goal would be cool.
Yeah. If you have an end date of, I want to be ready with an hour or half an hour by this time, then these shows, these spots start to take on more of a workout towards a goal vibe. And you've got a good thing and a good take, and people like you, so you're doing really well.
Yeah. What I was going to ask you is, what do you do? Because you write a lot too, and you write articles. What do you do when you have writer's block? Like, you've got the color coded bookshelf, you've got the plants, you've got the beautiful wood with the nice finish. What do you do?
There's a couple things. One is, I do find that reading a book helps to sort of stir up the stagnant morass of thoughts.
What's reading?
What am I reading right now?
Well, no, what is reading?
Reading, that thing that you, even though you're colorblind, you can still do. It's actually a nice alternative to sorting fabrics. But yeah, I'm reading, we just read This Is Your Mind on Plants by Michael Pollan.
I love him. Is that his new book?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I really do love him.
Up here somewhere. He's pretty good. Oh, here it is. This is cool because it talks about 3 very distinct drugs. One being opium, the second is caffeine, and then the third is mescaline, which is peyote, I guess. And he just sort of talks about because they're all plant-derived drugs with very different effects. And he goes into the history of them and all of that and his own experiences with them. And it's a very easy, quick read.
I really hate when people say it's a quick read because then I pick it up and I'm like, this is not a fucking easy read. What are you talking about?
I mean, it's only 250 pages. Like,
it's going to take me 5 minutes per page. Just can't get it.
But then I would still, everything's relative, right?
Everything is relative.
Like a 400-page, very theoretical book is still going to be that much harder for you as it is for me. So
you know what? You know how 48 Laws of Power, like how to make people. That's what I got. I got to start doing. People asking things. Oh, it's an easy read. It's just an easy read.
Yeah,
it's a quick read.
Wait, what was the 48 Laws of what? What is that?
Of Power. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's this thing Lewis is obsessed with, the 48 Laws of Power, and it's kind of like a way to it's a book about like social interactions and how to like maintain your power in them, I guess.
Yeah.
So one of them is actually only talking when necessary, which I don't do.
That's a way towards power?
Yes.
Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Are you, forgive me if this is too personal. Is Lewis your boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. I love him.
Yeah.
Louis Gomez.
We're going to Jamaica tomorrow.
He loves Jamaica.
He does.
I went to Jamaica in February and I actually had asked him for some tips. And we went back and forth and he helped me out with planning my trip.
How was it? This is my first time going.
I'd never been either. It was great. We went to this place called Golden Eye, which is the, I guess, resort that was founded around Ian Fleming's villa. He is the original creator and writer of all the James Bond books. And they've since built this very boho resort around it. And it was lovely. It was a trip we had planned right when COVID hit. And so we postponed it a year. And as you can imagine, that made us very, very excited about it. And then it was almost hard to meet expectations, but we still had a really nice time.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the Michael Pollan stuff. How does reading about this like inspire your joke writing?
Well, that one, not so much. And it doesn't, it's really not for joke writing, I don't find.
Just
it's
writing in general?
Yeah. So I do a lot of kind of long form writing, columns, blogs, whatever, all this stuff on my Patreon. And I just find that reading, sentence structure, people's use of language, I pick up on it, I get into the flow of it. It helps me. It's like listening to music and then being able to play music alongside it. I don't know. It just that's the skill that best, or the practice that best hones my skill of writing, helps it, I find.
That makes sense. Would you think the same thing applies? Because I would be hesitant to say like watching comedy would help you write comedy because you don't want to accidentally, unintentionally copy someone's joke. So what would you say would help maybe like if you're feeling uninspired and you're trying to write a joke?
Well, I am a huge proponent of watching comedy and helping it to get the creative juices flowing. And, good comedians should know that if while they're listening to someone perform, they write down a note or a joke, and then they look at it, they should know whether it's a total copy of what that other person said, or is it close enough? I think good comedians typically err on the side of caution in terms of stealing or doing a parallel joke. So, oftentimes I'll go or watch a special and it just gets my mind thinking along the lines of joke structure. And so that's a very good exercise for me. It's certainly easier for me than just coming up with jokes out of a void,
right?
Or, sitting on the subway and seeing something unusual happen and putting it in my phone, whatever. So I don't think that that's out of bounds, you
I feel
know?
like I get the most inspired when I'm watching a comedian. I like not just from like when I see someone that's a very good writer, I'm like inspired that they're able to think that way. But also when I see someone with like amazing stage presence, it's very like exciting. I definitely think watching comedy puts like lights a fire under my ass.
Cool. Yeah, agreed.
But
100%.
I like, you know, it's funny because I studied environmental studies in college and I read Michael Pollan all the time. And I feel like he made this shift into writing about like he wrote that one book about hallucinogens and then he put this book out about plants and stuff. And at that point I was like, ugh, I wasn't into that shift.
Yeah. Interesting.
But now I'm kind of curious about it, especially I am curious about like I drink coffee all the time and like I think those like changes that we make to our body are kind of like we put so many things in our body that we don't think about the way they affect us. Like what does he say about caffeine?
Yeah, honestly, the caffeine chapter was the most interesting one to me. And this is the book where you could legitimately just read the caffeine chapter and then maybe the mescaline chapter. I didn't find the opium chapter interesting at all.
Well, you know he listens to this podcast.
Yes, I'm sure. That's it. No. uh, but the caffeine one is fascinating because it's sort of, the big question that I asked myself as I was reading this is what he's writing making me feel that I should taper back on my caffeine, or is it validating my caffeine use more? And the same with opium and mescaline. Does it make me want to try those things, or is it more discouraging of trying them? And with the caffeine thing, I found that I walked away from his piece on it feeling totally at peace with my caffeine use. Um,
What did he say?
well, I think the big thing is that, which is so often what we hear about drugs, is that everything in moderation. And with caffeine, more specifically, the quarter life of caffeine is 12 hours, which means that if you have a cup of caffeine, a cup of coffee at 9 in the morning, 25% of that caffeine will still be in your bloodstream by 9 p.m. So, you know, by the time you go to bed, you don't really want this drug still affecting your sleep and your circadian rhythms and all of that. And the best way to avoid having that happen is to not drink coffee or tea, later in the day. So I've always been fortunate that I've been able to limit my coffee intake to just the mornings. I never really have a second cup later in the day. And
Right.
as a result, I feel like I'm kind of in the place that he says is fine. But the as far as the long-term negative health benefits, it really does come down to sleep and
Mm.
affecting your sleep, and what it could mean if you were the type of person to do, an espresso after dinner each night, or have a late cup of coffee,
Oh
because
no.
that can definitely really negatively impact your sleep, even if
That
you don't realize it.
that's me.
You have espresso? Do you have espresso every night?
I don't have a well, I have a Keurig.
And you have a cup of coffee at night?
Well, yeah, sometimes, especially if I have to drive home late, like I'll go get a coffee. Like I feel like I drink coffee at night for sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do, and you're probably one of those people who says, it doesn't really affect me. Like you don't even notice it because you've been drinking coffee for so long. But whether you realize it or not, it is still affecting you, and it affects especially like your deep sleep cycles,
Hmm.
where you may not be getting into those as much. And deep sleep is where you get the most restoration and sort of recovery from sleep and its benefits. And if you're not allowing yourself to get into that, you're not getting the most out of your sleep, and that could have health implications.
How much do you sleep a day?
I'm pretty I'm very protective of my sleep.
Yeah.
And I, obviously comedy's a late job.
Right.
Last night I got off stage at like 11:45. Um, but I make it a big effort to go kind of straight home if I have a really late set. I don't linger, and I go home, and then I try to, instead of screwing around on my phone or turning on the TV, to like allow myself to decompress.
Mm.
Um, I try to, I open a book, or
Wow.
I just try to find a way to really wind down as quickly as possible. And then I usually sleep a minimum of 8 hours every
So I'm getting to know you the most. This is like the longest conversation we've had. And
night.
I feel, wow. Now correct me if I'm wrong. You have like a very healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, I get accused of that a lot.
Like
Because-
I'm starting to feel like, because everyone says podcast, you go in thinking you're gonna talk about one thing, and then it's like, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So you read, you have a color-coded bookshelf, you go to bed early,
Uh,
and then you do have this soft-spoken voice that kind of says, I take care of myself.
I have to though, Natalie. This is the thing.
I need to help me. Help.
This is what I've realized, is that uh, I find there's two ways to go as a comedian. One is
Yes.
to embrace the turmoil and the lack of balance and the absolute insanity of this field we're in, which is, as I said, very late, and
Mhm.
uh, always revolves around alcohol or weed, or
Right.
uh, people. I would say like 90, no, no, a lot of the people we know in our field are either completely sober because they've had a
Yes.
horrific relationship with alcohol, or they are alcoholics and
Yes.
haven't realized yet, or just not trying to fix themselves. Um, and you know, there's this embrace of the tortured artist and uh, darkness, and
Mhm.
it's almost like people wear that as a badge of honor. And I'm broken, so therefore I am comedian. And they cease to sort of realize that it shouldn't necessarily be causal, but rather a correlation.
Oh, I love this.
I find that very frustrating, because there are plenty of comedians that one could look up to who are not broken.
Yes, tell me more.
Yeah, Seinfeld historically was very balanced in his life, and I think is an exercise in moderation, and does transcendental meditation and all of that. And I'm sure he's got his demons too, but he seems to be proactive in keeping them at bay, whereas a lot of comedians seem uh, to almost welcome the demons, and then as a way of speaking about them, like this will provide material. And I know personally that if I were to uh, embrace, the darkness, or welcome it and let it guide me, that would be far more destructive to my career than
Yes.
enabling. And
Yes. Yeah.
so I fight very, very hard to keep a balance, and my ways of doing that are, I'm very, very, very disciplined about exercise, about what I eat. I'm pretty darn disciplined about what I eat, and most importantly, perhaps, I I really maintain my friendships with non-comedians, with non-comedian friends. And this is after the first 10 minutes of shitting on people having weddings, but I think it's really important to maintain some lifeline to, as we put it, civilians.
To be a normal person.
Yeah, just like to remember that what it looks like when people are not, you know, uh,
Miserable.
defining their entire social life around a group of comedians at a table, or remember what it's like for people to have a more nuclear family. I don't know, just a more basic version of life, as we know it. So I do try to straddle the two worlds, and it's definitely hard for me, but I know it's the only way for me to do it without losing my mind. So
I'm totally needed to hear that today. That is the best thing you could have possibly said. So
oh,
thank you.
yeah,
I feel like I have so much darkness inside me that if I go on stage and embrace the darkness, the audience goes like, or they're like, oh, I get the ahs, like and my material is edgy. So like I need to go on stage with like the energy of someone that takes care of themselves and is positive so that like I can talk about the things that I want to talk about. Otherwise it's cringy because it's like, oh, she hasn't dealt with this. You
right.
have to talk about, if you're going to talk about edgy and dark things, you have to speak about it from a place of distance so the audience feels comfortable like relating to it. So they feel like, you know what I mean? And I also, I'm it's hard to remind yourself that you need to take care of yourself and that you need to be disciplined about like sleep and food and exercise and like you can be a comedian and be a normal person
Mhm.
because comedians, if you look around you, they're all like really not living normal lifestyles, and I want a normal lifestyle. Like I want a family, I want kids, I want a normal life. And so it's hard because lately I've been like, do I have to pick between like having a family and like being a comic? And it's like this thing that's coming in my brain because like my life, the first thing that I want to do is like be a mom. I'm obviously too young for that now, but like it's like a thought that comes into my head.
You don't have to pick at all.
Yeah.
And what you should do is you should pick your heroes,
Yeah.
um, and decide that, okay, well, Bonnie is a
Hmm.
good example to
She's
follow.
awesome. Yeah.
Built a brilliant career in comedy as well as having a great family and
Yeah.
being a mom. And I don't even know her that well, but I just look at her and think, okay, well, this is a person that certainly seems to have a good balance.
Right.
You know, and I think it's just keep having conversations with people, and there's really it should not be a choice, one or the other. They are
It
not mutually
feels so
exclusive.
much like it feels so much like this thing that's like eating at me that I'm like, do I want this or because especially the point where I'm at my career where I'm like not making a lot of money. So you're just like, I hope that I will make enough money to support a family in the
Yeah.
next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to be a struggle. I think,
Yeah.
if I've learned anything, I mean, I didn't make more than like $3,000 a year from comedy for the first 6 or 7 years that I was doing it. And
Yeah.
then, I got a writing job, and all of a sudden, and now you're making a real salary. I was able to quit I was tutoring, and I was able to stop doing that because I could just support myself with comedy. But the reality is that you just keep moving the goalposts. And
Yeah.
I would say I'm just as dissatisfied with my income from comedy today as I was 10 years ago, if not even more so.
Right.
Um, and and I'm making, if you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be making what I make this year in comedy, I would have thought, oh my God, that's the promised land. Like you're set. And the truth is you just keep raising the cost of your own living and the comfort of your own living, and,
Yeah.
and hoping that your work will catch up to it. At least that's how I often live. And it's a never ending battle, but we're doing what we love, and hopefully the money will come, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a, yeah. It's interesting because I never want to sit there thinking like I wish I could have done that. I wish I didn't give up this thing. So it's nice to think that you don't have to do that. But I really do like the idea of like a healthy and positive comedian, right? Because like you can't necessarily have a healthy family and have like a healthy relationships if you're kind of like this, for lack of a better word, drunk mess hanging out at clubs all night. Like I feel like especially a lot of comics really consider the hang a significant part of comedy. And I get all the socialization out of being on stage and like saying hi. I do not want to hang out. Like
Yeah.
I get socially exhausted. Like it's a lot. It's like a lot. I need to go home and like sit in the corner and then I can go back and hang.
Spot on. Spot on.
Yeah.
And I agree. There is this strange sort of we elevate the idea of the hang a lot as this, sacred bonding time. But the truth, I think Louis said once that he didn't realize that until later in his career that the reason he's going to these comedy clubs is to work and
Yeah.
get better. And it was then that he started just going, doing his spot, making sure that he prepared on the way, didn't really get bogged down by conversation before he went on stage, did what he wanted to work on. And then, maybe he'd come up, say hi to everyone, and then he would leave and get back to his family and what really mattered. And I just think that that's like, if you compare it to going to the gym to work out, like would
Right.
you say that going to the gym to work out, you go and you spend half an hour talking to the people behind the counter, and then you talk to the guy who gives you towels, and you sort of do this and sort of half-ass your warm-up, and you're like, what am I going to do today? And then you just get yourself under the bench press and bang out a few reps, and then you're like, it felt pretty good, whatever, it was good enough. And then you just like come out and, then talk to other people at the gym for another hour. It's like, that's not maximizing the workout at all.
Right. I also feel like, so I have a rule where I won't drink before my set, like, because I want my sets to be consistent. And I also feel like there's no point in me going up if I'm going to drink. Like, I don't think I'm a better, like, I think I'm way worse if I have one drink even, because I feel like I'm like disconnected in a way. Like, I just like, I can't like feel the crowd. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, I feel like a lot of people, like they're not consistent with their substance abuse like use
Yeah.
before sets, and like that's something that I struggle with as well. I feel like alcohol is really pushed on you at clubs and stuff, and like you can't, like, the only thing you can say is like, luckily I just got a car so I can say I'm driving now, but I feel like the only thing that's respected is like, no, I'm sober. Otherwise it's like really really pushed on you, and I think that's also a difficult aspect of it, because it's not like people are saying like, oh, I just want to get drunk tonight. It's like, it's pushed on you. It really is.
Well, the truth is that people who are pushing drinks on you or judging you for not drinking are just doing that to bolster or bury their own insecurities,
Right.
because people feel weird. It shines more of you're holding up a mirror when you say, I don't want that drink,
Yeah.
and showing them that they are, in fact, the ones who need the drink.
Yeah.
They're trying to wrap themselves in a blanket of camaraderie in the drinking, and that that can be a very jarring realization for people. So it's not about you, it's
Yeah.
about them.
It's like, I like drinking. It's just, I mean, these people, they paid $20 for the show. They have a drink minimum. Am I about to go on stage and not do the best job that I can do? I mean, that's fucked up to go on stage fucked up. Like, that sucks for them.
You wouldn't have a beer before going to a boxing class or
Yeah.
a Barry's boot camp. I always compare everything to like exercise when it comes to comedy. And I mean, I was an athlete, in college, and fuck, we would never have had a drink before practice or before a workout. It's just so,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
yeah. This is my job now. People don't drink before they go to work in the morning, so it's the
Yeah.
way it
Well, some people do, but and that's, no judgment.
is.
Just a lot. No. So, oh man, what do you have coming up, Francis?
Well, I'm going to the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, which I'm excited about. Are you going to that?
I'm not, but a lot of my friends are going. It seems really awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I have some road dates um, here and there, and then my sister's wedding is this weekend, which I'm really
That's
excited about. Yeah,
whoa, that's cool.
yeah, and it's at our home, our where we grew up in Maine. We're having it at the house, and originally it was supposed to be a normal sized wedding, but they've pared it down in COVID because it was supposed to be last summer. Obviously, got postponed, and now it's just going to be 50 people, closest friends and family. And there's so many great.
Wait. It's small now is 50 people.
Yeah, I would say 50 is a pretty small wedding. Would you?
What's a normal size wedding?
I think anything over 100 is
Yeah, I've only been to one wedding. Is that fucking crazy? And it was my dad's.
okay. And how many people did he have there?
Maybe 50.
Okay. Well, was that his second wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think second weddings are usually
Yeah, you gotta
more
be
low-key.
chill.
Yeah, but like all the weddings I've been to, I mean, I've been weddings that ranged from 130 to
Oh, I've been
400.
to two actually. There was one with a bit my best friend's sister. She had maybe like 200 people.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I would say, yeah. I mean, yeah. So 50, what's great about 50 is, one of the problems with weddings is that the food always sucks because it's impossible to hand out 150
Mm,
plates of meat or fish where they're all hot at the same time.
right.
But with 50 people, it's much easier to cook for. So I think the food's going to be a lot better. I think you're not going to be going down the conveyor belt of meaningless 2-minute conversations, just shaking hands one after another. You can actually have some lasting, meaningful, convos with people. And plus, they they had a kid. They got legally married
Yeah.
after the wedding was postponed, and then they had a child. My niece Hayes, and I'm going to walk her down the aisle, and
That's so
it's gonna be,
sweet.
it's going to be great. Yeah, I'm very excited. So
Are you engaged?
I'm not.
No.
No,
You have a
no.
joke about it
I do lots
coming.
of jokes about it. Yeah,
Yes,
uh,
yes, yes.
definitely. It is definitely
On the
on.
horizon.
Yeah,
How long have you been with your girlfriend?
3 years.
Okay, that's the perfect amount of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Does she talk about, when are you going to propose a lot?
There's some jokes, as I say on stage, her jokes they're getting less and less funny. Uh,
Yes.
there's more of a sense of urgency to them now. Um, but that's okay. It's one of those things where you don't want to wait too long, such that when you finally do propose, it's like a
Mm,
relief or something, or you feel like, all the surprise was lost and that it was just about time kind of moment. So I'm still trying to maintain some control over this process, but it's definitely slipping away, I have to say.
that's hilarious. I was engaged. I mean, it failed, but it was too quickly. So,
When was that?
um, we broke up in February,
Wow.
but I mean, it happened very fast. We were together a total of 2 years,
Well, okay.
but that's not that crazy.
No, that's not that crazy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry it didn't work out, but as long as you're in a happier place,
it's fine. It's life.
did you guys mutually agree that it wasn't the right thing to do, or how did that shake out?
You know what was interesting about it? I felt like he wasn't. I didn't feel like he proposed with like an intention of like, okay, now we're gonna get married. I felt like he proposed with this intention of like, okay, I've locked it down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, almost checking a box and then buying more time in a way.
Because there was no there was just no wedding plan,
Yeah,
which is good that we didn't get married because we didn't work out.
yeah,
But I think in the future, obviously I hope to get married one day. I hope that I would like if I'm going to be engaged, it's like, okay, we're engaged. That means we're going to start planning our wedding. Like, I don't want it to be like, we're engaged.
Right.
Yay! Like it has to actually mean that we're gonna get married.
Interesting. Um, of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, no, I totally agree. But that does,
Yeah.
if you are as the guy who is initiating the proposal,
Right.
it does make you feel more calculating in how you do it, and especially when you do it, right? Because let's say that I were to propose in May. Obviously, you're never going to get your wedding together in time to have it that summer.
But you can set a date. You can be like, okay, well then May 2022.
Yeah, right. But I guess in a way, you kind of typically need at least a year, I think, to get your wedding date and your venue and invites and everybody on board.
Right.
And so you know that when you propose, if you kind of suspect you want to have your wedding in the spring or the summer or the fall, because most people don't usually have it in the winter, um, then you are kind of forcing yourself to wait until whatever season is the one you want,
Yeah.
which is kind of an interesting,
I
calculus.
never even thought about like if the guy should calculate when the wedding is, when they're proposing.
Yeah, it's
It's a
tough,
lot. It's a lot. Do you
but
know like the ring size, what ring she wants? Did she tell you all of that?
I'm getting a clearer picture,
Yeah. Yeah.
starting to kind of come together. I mean, that's a
Wow.
whole uh, very daunting process
Yeah. It's a lot.
that is just breathtakingly expensive and,
Yes.
causes a lot of insecurity and sleepless nights. And
Why insecurity?
well, you want to give her the ring she dreams of, and
Mm,
financial realities might dictate otherwise.
right.
And you do the best you can, but uh, it's just a total trade-off of like it's hard. You let's put it this way: you can't hand the ring over, say, "Will you marry me?" and then say, "By the way, I know this isn't what you wanted, but what I sacrificed in carrots, we can put towards
A
our
home.
lake house." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's
Right.
not how that works.
Right.
You just can't be that reasonable and logical about this process, because if
Yeah.
you do, you'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
Inherently, the whole diamond industry is flawed. Uh, De Beers developed a monopoly over the diamond trade back in like the 1920s, at which point, but prior to that, it was not the custom that a man would propose with a diamond. And
Hmm.
somehow, through a viral marketing campaign, they've convinced the world that, you know, a diamond accompanies the proposal. And we've all basically been brainwashed by this company into believing that. And not only that, but they've come up with algorithms like you're supposed to spend 3 months of your yearly salary on the ring. Well,
Wild.
who came up
Brilliant.
with that? Was that an accountant that said that you could do that? Or was it, once again, a diamond trader trying to
Right.
maximize their profits? So, there really are no guiding principles, but you know, you're
So is
basically,
it the ring for you that's holding you back, or is it just like the pressure? Like you're gonna propose to this person.
yes, I do feel very confident that I love her, and that I want to spend my life with her, and that she will be, a brilliant wife and friend, and she already is in so many
Oh,
ways.
that's so sweet. I can't wait till someone says that about me again.
Yeah, but all of the ducks are in a row. It's it's hard though to not feel, as I've said, that I've lost any kind of control over or
Yeah.
choice in this.
Right.
And once that starts happening, it takes on the hue of an obligation. or a
Mm,
service or I don't want to say chore, but
right.
um, and that then you don't get to celebrate it or enjoy it as much,
Yeah.
It
You want to
becomes,
feel like it's your idea and you're like planning this romantic thing. And since you're being pressured, it's not, I get that.
yeah, and sadly, I wouldn't even say that she is the one exacting the pressure. It's
Societal for sure.
societal, it's timelines, it's the incredibly overt displays from our friend group of you know Instagram people constantly like showing off the ring and the size and what's the first thing you do on any engagement photo on Instagram? You zoom in on the ring. I don't know about you, but that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
And we have been, we're now in this place where it's like Instagram
Interesting.
has really become a tool for fomenting FOMO
Yeah.
among everybody, whether it's by
Yeah.
having a lavish wedding and then posting 4 million stories with your own wedding hashtag to try to create the broadest reach possible and make sure that everyone there is tagging and shows the people who weren't there what they missed, or people planning their own wedding. Hey, look at you! You can't afford what we did.
Right. Right.
Or or even as I said, the engagement itself. Like I think the ring has become a status symbol. It's just a dick measuring contest that has no real bearing on happiness. It's very
I mean,
material.
I would way rather, there's a show on Netflix that I think it probably flopped, but it was like these couples got a choice. They could have the house of their dreams or the wedding of their dreams, and they both cost the same amount. And the wedding is one day, the house is literally the rest of your life. And some people pick the wedding, which seems like a no-brainer to me that you would pick the house.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I agree. I mean, that's where my head's at.
then
But
you're like, you pull your hair. I actually, I want to relax before my spots tonight. I think I might watch that show.
nice, love it.
um, is there anything you want to plug? I don't want to keep you any longer.
No, I'm having a nice time. Of course, I'm having a nice time. Yeah, check out our podcast. Oops, the podcast I do with Giulio Gallerati. We talk about mistakes and failures and fallibility and sort of the highest or the worst neuroses that we have, and cover people's emails and what they're dealing with, and people seem to enjoy it. So check that out.
That's awesome. I got to check it out because I am one of the most neurotic people there is. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thanks for doing the podcast, Francis.
Natalie, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Good luck
Yes.
finding balance. Keep fighting for it because it's worth it. I promise.
Thank you.
Yeah.